Houston Texans, Houston Rockets, Houston Dynamo, Houston everything, Houston born and raised, H-Town Rebel Space Cadet Sports.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, folks of all stripes, and distinguished guests, put your hands together for the Space Cadet Sports Podcast. Houston, we have Paul Salazar Jr.
Hey y'all, welcome back to the Space Cadet Sports Podcast, your Houston sports podcast for diehard Houston sports fans from a diehard Houston sports fan. I, of course, am Paul Salazar Jr., your favorite diehard Astros fan podcaster. And, of course, feel free to add as many additional qualifiers to that statement to make it true. I am an entertainment professional, creative multi-hyphenate, and most importantly, I'm a proud Houston native, and I have the receipts to prove it. TC Jester is actually named after me. I am that Jester. I spent the last decade or so as a comedy writer in Los Angeles, and now, well, just like everybody else in LA and the country, honestly, at this point I'm podcasting. Good day, mates, and bienvenidos to new listeners. This is a comedy / Houston sports show. We try not to be too emotional, too hot takey, too ESPN, although they are clearing house. Look, we try to remember we've elected to be sports fans and enjoy this life as best as we can in this wild world. But it is difficult at times because of the world, because of our teams. But we try not to let that get the better of us. On today's episode, are the Astros okay? Is it time to break out the patented Space Cadet Sports official Houston Astros panic meter? We'll get to that. But before we do, I'd like to welcome returning listeners and welcome new listeners to what my brothers call the Paul Broad Pod Ball Blog. Hey, brothers. They're both Milford men. Shout out to my brothers. Shout out to Arrested Development fans. And shout out to the subs. Not sandwiches, of course. The subs on the Substack. Check out spacecadetsports.substack.com for the full blog experience or the full blog experience, depending on your interpretation of my mumbles here. As always, we're recording this transmission here in sunny Los Angeles, where I'm joined by my co-host and co-producer, The Roz, to my Frasier. Carla the dog is here with me, and we are listening. Longtime listeners of the podcast know that she may get on mic from time to time. She's got the hot takes on this podcast. And of course, we're welcoming this season's newest producer, Baby Catarina, my daughter, who is allowed to chime in whenever she wants to as well. This season's motto is, we listen to women. We listen to women on the podcast and in life. But let's get to it. Vamos. Boy. So, are the Astros okay? Oof. I'm not going to lie, I gave him a shout out last week on the podcast, but Bernardo Cubria, famous Apple TV writer, was asking me, what's happening with the Astros? And I think that's what most people are asking right now. What is happening? Well, not much. They have been treading water. We are waiting for the summer. Usually they get better in the summer and the dog days of summer. Woof, woof. Sorry, Carla. Probably shouldn't do that if I don't want you to chime in. But the Astros are 48-54 as of the recording of this podcast here on this beautiful Tuesday afternoon. That's good for third in the American League West, believe it or not. They're 3.5 games behind Seattle. And Seattle's one game over 500. Doesn't take much right now to win the AL West. While the Astros have not been great, neither has their competition, and that kind of has been what has kept hope alive in this house. It's not a good feeling, that's for sure. My preseason predictions, I've said this. Look, I keep the receipts. I said that they could be a wild card team and get into the playoffs this season. I also said they could get about 88 wins. At this point in the season, that might be a bit of a tall ask, especially if out of the All-Star break they get swept by the Orioles. Look, I said last week they could do it. I mean, they could. Getting swept by the Orioles is not going to help. Getting swept by any team isn't going to help. That's no disrespect to the O's. That's just numbers. That's math. That's logic, okay? Don't come at me. That's logic. I think it was a disappointing series, to say the least, against the Orioles. Let me look at those scores real quick here. Against the Orioles, they lost 2-3 on Friday. They lost 2-4 on Saturday, and they lost 2-5 on Sunday. I didn't play professional ball. Okay, I'm a fan. I'll admit that, but I'll say it. Hashtag hot takes, hashtag analysis. 2 runs is not going to win you baseball games. The offense is better than that. I mean, this is a team with Yordan Alvarez on it. It was some stuttering offense out of the gate. I say as I stammer and stutter myself. No disrespect to stutterers out there. But this offense is pretty lacking right now. Last night against Miami, the Astros mustered 8 runs, winning the game 8-5. That's a lot better. That's for sure. I think it's tough because the Astros right now are top heavy. We talked about the trade deadline. They are limping right now to that trade deadline. They need a bat. They need some life. And of course they need to stop getting injured. All right, let's be honest. Reynel Delgado was back up with the club. We've had a lot of quadruple A infielders this season, and there's no disrespect. I'm not even a rookie ball guy. Okay, look, I'm just saying that the guys that we're getting to play infield for the Astros, they're not going to be household names. They definitely are, finding their way into the league, that kind of a player. And that just isn't going to cut it right now. Offensively, some of these guys have great gloves, that's for sure. Nick Allen, Little Nicky. Little Nicky has been great defensively on the team. But we need some offense. And it's funny because at the beginning of this season, I've said it before, we thought we had way too many infielders, and now all of a sudden we don't have enough. It's tough to watch. So with Christian Walker going out with an injury in the Orioles series, I clutched my pearls. I held my breath. I couldn't believe it. I was like, not another one. I am the anti-DJ Khaled. Not another one. That's not what he sounds like. I don't know if I don't have a DJ Khaled impression in my back pocket, but what was that? Look, I'll work on it, okay? I'll work on my DJ Khaled impressions for you, dear listener. I didn't know I was going to be judged so harshly. If you'd like to give me your DJ Khaled impression, call in. Leave it on SpeakPipe. SpeakPipe.com/Space Cadet Sports. Let me know your take. Give me your DJ Khaled impression. If it's better than mine, it will make the podcast. And if it isn't, I'll delete it immediately along with the take. Kidding, of course. You could leave me whatever you want. I don't respond to crazy stuff on the podcast, that's for sure. But I'll respond to your DJ Khaled impression if nothing else. Look, let's get back to business. It's been a tough start to the second half of the season, or last third of the season. Second half makes that's a narrative I'm telling myself to make it feel like the Astros have more time. But it was not what I wanted to see. Offensively, it was tough. Right now, we're also hurting for outfielders. I said we had a lot of options in the outfield, even as lately as the last episode. Jake Myers is injured. Bryce Matthews got injured. So now we don't really have a center fielder. Cam Smith, while he has shown that he can play center, it doesn't look like they want to have him have another position change and like play a lot of time in center field. It looks like he could play there for an inning or so every now and then for sure, but it looks like they don't want to have him switch over to center. I don't blame him. They're trying to get the guy comfortable at right field. He looks like he could be a Gold Glove right fielder. He might have what it takes to be a good center fielder, but they're hoping to get Cam Smith right. So maybe they just don't want to switch him over full time. So they called up Lucas Spence. Welcome to the show. That was Ed Sullivan for for people under 80. Who was that impression? Look, I don't have a DJ Khaled impression, but I do have a Ed Sullivan impression, proving that I am an old man, not just at heart, but in reality. Those are the facts, okay? That's science. You can't argue with science. That's not a false positive, Taylor Farms. That's right. We're going political now on the podcast. Not that. shout out. Shout out corrupt government. Look, Lucas Spence, welcome to the show. We have a new center fielder who got off to a pretty hot start. Pretty much has been starting every game since he has been called up after the All-Star break. But, you know, he does look like he's a pretty good prospect, but I don't anticipate Lucas Spence continuing to catch fire. And, you know, most likely Jake Myers or Bryce Matthews will return in the next Marvel movie. Will return to the squad. I of course mean that. But it has been tough to see just injury after injury after injury. Will this team ever not be injured? Look, I don't know. It's been a tough go for the Astros. It's been a tough season. Injuries have not been helping. Even little things like Christian Walker being out for a couple games and the Astros having to lean on Lamont Wade Jr. Has been ideal. I mean, Lamont Wade Jr. has been working walks. Look, he's not a bad player. I like him on the squad. I'm hoping that he can figure it out. I really do like Lamont Wade Jr. There's no disrespect. It's just that what Christian Walker has been giving to this team, the protection that he's given the lineup, the RBIs he's been giving the lineup. You know, we need Christian Walker in the lineup, and we need him to be productive. So we need him healthy. So let's hope for more health. And with hope being on the tip of my lips, that means we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back to talk more Astros after this.
H-Town Rebel Space Cadet Sports.
And we're back. Welcome back to the Space Cadet Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Paul Salazar Jr. I'm trying to see, and I took a little bit of notes here. Look, I'm trying to shape up for you guys, okay? I'm back. I said I'd be back next week, and here I am. Dad didn't leave for cigarettes. I'm back. I wrote down some notes. I didn't lose them, but I don't know where exactly I am in my notes. I'm all over the place. Call me the Daniels, because I'm everywhere. I can't even make the joke, everything, everywhere, all at once. I am everything, everywhere, all at once. That's the joke I was trying to make. No, I think technically I was saying I was the Daniel. Look, I don't have time to analyze my comedy. I'm trying to talk Astros here. And last night's win against the Miami Marlins, the Astros won 8-5. JP3, Jeremy Pena hit a jalapeno popper. Technically a grand slam, his second grand slam of his career. Carla's getting into the studio. Welcome, Carla. Welcome to the show, Carla, the dog. In that game, Jordan hit 2 home runs. I thought he might even hit 3. Jordan is looking incredible. The Triple Crown watch is in full effect. Jordan Alvarez is must-see TV. So tune in, watch his clips, if nothing else, is what I've been saying all season, or at least for the last couple months. And Ronel Blanco, La Blancura, is back. He had a pretty good game, seeing that he's coming back from Tommy John surgery. that it doesn't always go smoothly. We've seen a lot of players bounce back from Tommy John. He seemed to have a pretty good game, good enough to help the Astros get the win and eat up some innings at least. So we're watching Ronald Blanco. And also in that game, Christian Walker had a pinch hit opportunity. So hopefully that signals that Christian Walker is not going on the injured list, indefinitely and needs, he isn't one of those, when's he coming back? Hopefully he'll be back today, this series. He'll have significant time. We're hoping and praying for it. Because, the injuries have just been rough this season for the Houston Astros. They're finally starting to get a little healthier. Christian Javier is back. Ronald Blanco is back. Lance McCullers Jr. obviously got healthy and was good enough to be traded to the Milwaukee Brewers. If you haven't been paying attention, you've been under a rock. Lance is with the new team, but this team is getting healthier. Hayden Wesneski, a.k.a. Wes Nasty, is coming back. He'll probably be out of the bullpen, just like a lot of these guys, like Kai Tang. A lot of the guys that could have found some time in the pitching rotation right now are going to be long relievers, used out of the pen. Speaking of pitchers, last podcast I said that we would do some good news, bad news type thing with the pitchers. We're mixing it up. I feel like that segment wasn't exactly what I wanted it to be, I guess. But let's look at your Houston Astros pitchers. And, I think really, Hunter Brown coming back from injury hasn't quite been the ace that we've needed him to, and I don't think that's going to last too much longer. Hunter Brown is him. Diesel can pitch amazingly. We just need him to bounce back sooner than later. Right now, as of this moment in the season, Peter Lambert is the ace of the staff. Peter Lambert right now has a 2.7 B WAR, and leads the staff with that. So he, he's, for all intents and purposes, is our ace. We also have Eric Getty and Hunter Brown right there vying, I would say, for that next spot. Hunter Brown would get it based off a track record. Spencer Getty has had some ups and downs this season. And then we have, I would put Tatsuya Imai there with Mike Burrows. Mike Burrows is on the IL. Might spend some more time in Sugarland before he's back with the team. And Tatsuya Imai has had a rough go of it this season. He has been on an emotional roller coaster, or a pitching roller coaster. I don't know the man's emotions. He hasn't been overtly emotional, I should say. But his production has been a bit of a roller coaster this season. We're hoping that it could steady out and he could start dominating. Because we need him to. We signed him with the expectation that he would be a major part of this pitching rotation, and it has been rough. And other news with these pitchers, when it comes to people that were starters, Nate Pearson was DFA'd. He is no longer, will most likely no longer be with the team. And Christian Javier and Ronald Blanco are kind of right there vying for spots in the pitching rotation. I believe Kai Tang will be, I believe the team officially said that he will be pitching out of the bullpen for the remainder of the season. I don't believe Dr. Sweeper, as they call him, Dr. Sweeper, I believe, will be long relief and situational guy out of the pen for the rest of the season. When it comes to the bullpen, Josh Hader, our closer, has been great. He, I believe he blew his first save in the Orioles series. He has been injured, so I think when it comes to games, he's played 19 this season. Another, obviously, I think the kind of guy holding down the bullpen while Hader was gone, holding down the bullpen for everybody has been Steven Okert. This man is the Astros reliever of the year. Everyday Okert. I'm hoping he could just finish the season out strong, frankly, because we need him to. There's no doubt about that. Then you have AJ Bluebaugh, who has been great, who has been so good that I believe MLB.com said that he is the most tradable asset on the Houston Astros. So we'll see. Maybe AJ Bluebaugh has done so well that he'll end up in a trade package for a player that we desperately need. But he has been great in the first half of the season. 25-year-old right-hander has been great. We were high on him in the beginning of the season. I even said that he was potentially somebody that could take kind of that Brian Abreu spot, if you will, kind of the setup man type of, or a bridge type spot out of the bullpen. He has kind of done a little bit of everything this season, and he's been fairly good at it, getting good results. Iniel de los Santos has been a steady vet, I would say. Like he's not exactly going to be a world beater, but his changeup and his just ability to be available has made him great in the bullpen. And Brian Abreu is slowly but surely working his way back to pitching in the eighth inning. In yesterday's game, he did pitch the eighth inning to set up Josh Hader. Hader had a bit of a tough outing loading the bases, but still closing out the game. I don't want to speak too soon, but Brian Abreu might be working his way back to competing for some big situational pitching moments. The fact that they sent Brian King down to Sugarland, I think, is indicative that they're feeling a little bit better about Brian Abreu in those moments. If they trade AJ Bluebaugh away, I do believe Brian King will be back with the team. I think this is a short stint for lefty Brian King. He's just had a really good start to the season, and in the last month or so has just had some struggles. But credit to Brian King, who has been really good for the team generally this season. I think he will be back this season, maybe sooner than later, depending on a trade. When it comes, Bennett Sousa was the pitcher that was added to the roster when Brian King was taken away, or sent back down to AAA, I should say. Right now, I really think that this team is searching for consistency. I've said that they've needed to be consistent. They've had some really good runs and some really bad stretches. They'll figure some things out and then get injured and take a step back, or they'll figure some things out and then just something obnoxious like the problem of hitting with runners in scoring position raises its head yet again. If this team is going to get that wild card spot, if this team is going to compete for division champ, which they could, they technically still are right now, they're going to have to find some consistency. They're going to have to trade for some consistency. I think the problem is, for me, is that, and this is something I've said is in the past, it's like, you want to be, you could be critical of manager Joe Espada, but manager Joe Espada has done a good job keeping this team in it since he's been with the team, and sometimes he's dealing with heavily injured rosters, completely ridiculous starting rotation, just a bullpen that has been taped together, 7, 8, 9 hitters, that are struggling, rookies that need playing time. The guy has done admirably in his managerial job, I believe. However, winning is everything. And if he can't find a way to win, he could be out of a job this offseason. Then we have general manager Dana Brown, who, we want to see a big trade here for Dana Brown. I think his job really does depend on it. I think his job depends on the Houston Astros making the playoffs. I think if this team doesn't make the playoffs, it's an easy decision for owner Jim Crane to let go of some personnel. I'm hoping they make it, not because I completely want to, I just need to keep the personnel. I do like Dana Brown and Joe Espada, but I do think that if this team cannot get into the playoffs, you're going to see some big moves. Uh-oh. Baby Cat is waking up. And with Baby Cat waking up and me distractedly looking at the baby monitor instead of my notes, that's going to do it for this transmission, Space Cadets. Thank you so much for listening to the pod. Please like, rate, review, subscribe, share, and all that jazz. We are a small podcast and only go as far as our listenership takes us. We're supported by listeners like you. So please share with a Houston fan or Australian in your life and give us a 5-star rating on whatever platform you listen to or listen on. Reach out on social media at Space Cadet Sports on Instagram. Follow the stories, follow the memes, or call in. Let me know your best DJ Khaled or Ed Sullivan impression on speakpipe.com/Space Cadet Sports. Of course, check out the Substack. Subscribe to support. It is free. You get all of the podcasts, any memes or articles I may have the energy to do, all for free. There is a premium subscription that I keep really low, but that's just a way to help me pay for diapers and treats for my producers. If you made it this far, you like me on some kind of level, you can find me making weird jokes, memes, art, podcasts, and so much more at Paul Salazar JR on social media on all platforms. Find my other Substack if you're interested in my writing styles and all my other nonsense if you're nasty. Thanks for listening. Remember to be the best that you can be. Keep your head up, kid. And as always, vamos, vamos, Houston. And abolish ICE.